Welcome, everyone. This is Mayor Bob. I'm in American Legion Hall with the entire city council and city staff and a good crowd behind me of our community to participate in tonight's meeting. This is the regular meeting scheduled for February 23rd, 2023. Sarah, would you please conduct a roll call so we can officially open a session?
Giles,
Here,
Councilmember Machezik,
Present.
Councilmember Nelson,
Present.
Councilmember Nielsen,
I am.
Councilmember Thrower.
Here.
thank you, Sarah. Let's all stand. I will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The first item is to approve the agenda. I will ask for a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Move to approve the agenda. Second.
Thank you both. All in favor of approval of tonight's regular session agenda for city council, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Is there anyone opposed? Hearing none, the agenda is approved. I will ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda, but before I do that, is there anyone that wants, any council member that is, that would like to make any changes or move items out of the consent agenda into a later part of tonight's meeting? Or are we good with it?
I'm good.
Thumbs up? Okay. Then I will ask for a motion to approve that consent agenda.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded to approve tonight's consent agenda as published in our packet. May I have a roll call vote on this motion, please?
Councilmember Thrower,
Yes.
Councilmember Nelson,
Yes.
Mayor Giles,
Yes.
Councilmember Machezik,
Yes.
Councilmember Nielsen,
Yes.
Thank you, council. That motion carries. We will move on to the general public comment period. I know a number of people have signed up and I'll grab that sheet. Thank you, Annette. Thanks, Colby. All right, so we have 4 people that have signed up. Before I get to recognizing each of those people and explaining the rules of how we do that, let me summarize. As of 3 p.m. today, we had received for tonight's meeting under general comment, that title, 11 written comments. Is that correct?
yes.
All right. Council received all of those in a timely manner and have had a chance to review all of those 11 comments. All right. So let's get right to the folks. And it's my understanding no one has signed up to talk to us on the Teams environment.
That is correct.
So our first guest that would like to address this that signed up is Simon. Simon, could you pronounce your last name?
Ingham.
Ingham. Yeah, thank you. So the way we do this to be respectful to the council and the agenda and staff is that we'll ask you to stand there and please state your name and address, and then we start a little clock that times you. You have 3 minutes to address us on any topic of interest to you.
Right. Thank you very much. My name is Simon Ingham, 1658 Timber Circle in McCall. And I'd like to talk to the council about the Forest Service Granite Goose Restoration Project. That was announced on February the 8th. You can find that online. The comment period ends March 10th. I'm not familiar with the full range of that and what the council can do, but I'd like to bring it to the council's attention and certainly ask you to support that in certain ways. It's a big project. It's 40,000 acres. It's all the way from the city limits of McCall up to Granite Lake, up to Goose Lake, Granite Mountain. But There's a lot of things in the Bear Basin area that affects people here in McCall, and I think a lot of good things for Bear Basin. This is my personal view. I do work for Little Ski Hill. I do grooming in the Bear Basin area. The project is going to add parking and restrooms on Bear Basin Road. It's going to build an additional 1.1 miles of mountain bike trail. That's going to connect up the existing mountain bike trails in the Bear Basin area with Bear Basin Road. It's going to convert about 4 miles of Forest Service roads in the Bear Basin area into non-motorized trails. And it proposes to have a winter closure area for motorized recreation within that area, and a slightly increased area above what's in the current permit area. It would still allow grooming, and it would still allow snowmobiles passage along Bear Basin Road so they can get to the land to the north. I think the benefits are it clearly delineates the Nordic area, and it's going to put that on the map so that snowmobilers know where the Nordic area is. I've run into snowmobilers who are just lost when I've been grooming out there. It's not very well signposted. It's not on the maps that these guys use. And so having that be a closure area would be advantageous. Roads into trails, there's road damage in there from people accessing that in the wet season. If there's less road damage, it allows us to get on there earlier to groom. Trails will be in good condition quicker, and it'll take less effort and less diesel to groom those trails. Adding trails, I think those extra trails that were roads will become hiking trails. That means more hiking trails, more places for people to walk their dog. Those people then will have better options than going down some of the mountain bike trails, which are really mountain bike trails. And so it's going to provide a little bit for everyone. I think you might have some pushback because nobody wants to see roads disappear. This project does offset road removal in one area with some motorized trail creation in other areas. Right? How about that? That's a great way to finish.
Thank you for addressing us, and many of us and many of our citizens recreate out there. I did not know you were the groomer. You're doing a great job out there, and thanks for your report. And thanks for making us aware this process is going on, the planning.
Thank you.
Can I,
I'm the very part-time groomer. Ed is your main groomer. Did a great job. Good education.
can I ask Simon just one question, Mayor Bob?
Sure.
Is this at the scoping level
Yes.
comments? Is that what it's at? Yeah, okay. All right.
Thank you very much.
Simon.
Thanks. That'll do for me.
So next up will be Michelle. And Michelle, your last name is pronounced Basie?
Basie?
Basie, thank you.
Okay. Okay, so my name is Michelle Basie. I'm the broker owner of Brundage Realty. Oh, wait, 403 North 3rd Street, McCall.
Thank you so much.
And I'm here on behalf of the owner of 200 Lenora, Marilyn Blattner. And the property has been available for sale with us for 2 years, and we have a good buyer hoping to open a successful business here in town and contribute to our community, both in property taxes and sales taxes. I understand the concerns of the church members. I feel it doesn't warrant you to change your mind on the approval that we had at first. For the reasons are, right now there currently is other liquor being sold within the same parameter as the 300 feet. There's Krusty's, there's liquor being sold next door in the little market. There's alcohol being served and sold, I mean. And that's the, get back to my list here. Okay, so there's others being sold within the area that there's separation with the food store between the applicant and the church. Monica, the applicant, has approached the congregation to work out any foreseen problems. She offered to not open until church was out on Sundays. trying to work together with the church but they're still opposing her. I looked up on the church's calendar and they have basically 4 different groups that meet in church on Sunday. They have, most of them are all meeting before 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And she's got, she's agreed on Sundays not to open till after that. We're talking about the central business district here, that this is permitted use in this area and it is an approved site for a bar, pub, or nightclub. There are approximately 10 other bars in the central business district, brew pubs or nightclubs or whatever. This is the desired type of business for this zoning. In the city, it's not the first time we've had a church with serving alcohol, or I'm sorry, a restaurant serving alcohol next to a church. We've had it in Village Square with the Baptist church. We have it when Highway Chapel's next to the Pancake House, they served alcohol. And the last note here, McCall has a very small business district, churches in it. And this is the exact reason the state of Idaho gives you people the right to make exceptions. If we went 350 feet instead of 300 feet, you'd be at the ice skating rink and they're serving alcohol there. Sorry. And so I'm asking you to approve it again for the reasons that it's what people are desiring, another place to go. It's moving a liquor license from another location. We're not gaining any new liquor license. Sorry, I'm buzzing all over. So that's all. I'm just.
Thank you, Michelle. Appreciate it. David Gallipoli.
Evening. David Gallipoli, 200 Scott Street, McCall. I'm coming here as a concerned citizen, not as a library board member. I'm concerned about House Bill 139. I think it's an overreach by state legislators from last year's agenda to ban books and threaten librarians with criminal prosecution. I find zero evidence libraries or librarians encourage pornography. Our librarians consider age-appropriate materials and provide safe and inviting atmosphere. Librarians welcome everyone who walks through the door. That has always been about equality. I am thankful for the help I received throughout my life that libraries and librarians provided me. I hope that 139 does not make it out of committee, but I would hope this council would oppose this bill and write a letter to our state legislators and the education board. The bill has little to do with protecting children, but rather that it would damage the equality our libraries provide for our community, threaten our First Amendment rights, and threaten all librarians in our state. The proposed legislation takes a civil action approach. The civil penalties associated with violations of a civil action law, $10,000 per incident. It means $10,000 per book if somebody wanted to make a case that the book was inappropriate and a librarian lent it out. The focus is on institutions and organizations tasked with the oversight of the library. The proposed legislation will present a substantial risk management issue for the city and impact insurability, which has already happened in parts of Idaho. The legislation will harm our new library that this council has supported throughout the bond process, and you've worked very hard to create creative ways to support the project when COVID and the market conditions for building costs challenged you. I hope you will consider opposing this and writing a letter so it doesn't get out of committee. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Next is Karen Nelson. Thank you, Karen.
Hi, Karen Nelson at 1607 Davis, unit N75. So anyway. I am a member of the church, of the McCall Community Congregation Church, and I understand the desire to put more business in there. But the business that would not be in there would be the pet store business. And I don't have any pets personally, but everybody I know who has pets or feeds birds or whatever in McCall use that store and give it business. And I don't know what they would do if they lose their lease and cannot stay in that location. I was not aware that there was any other alcohol served. And I don't think she said it was alcohol served within the radius of 300 feet. There are the concerns that we had at the church when we had a meeting. And one of them was the noise, and the noise, she said, no, there wouldn't be any, they wouldn't open until afternoon on Sunday. But that's not the only time the church is used. It's not just used on Sunday morning and everything's done at noon. In the first place, we have coffee hour after church, so it goes past noon. There are the McCall Music Society uses the building and for rehearsals, and second Sunday sounds at 6, and that's 6 p.m. The second Sunday of the month, in case you haven't been there, they're wonderful. There are lots of music recitals given there, and there's a viola camp that's usually held there, in addition to normal weddings and funerals that happen like in most churches. We are indeed in the center of town, and so we open up for things like a warming station for Winter Carnival, for the children's torch, I think it's called a torchlight parade that happens at least in the past. And this year we had quite a crowd downstairs staying warm until it was time for them to all go outside and do their parade. Also, we don't have air conditioning, and so we open windows in the summer to when we have these activities going on. And so any noise from the bar would be wafting in, and the smoke from people smoking out in the alley, because they're not allowed to smoke probably, I think, in the bar, would be blown in into the church during those times. And so I would ask you to consider upholding the law instead of making an exception. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. All right, that's everybody on the list. Anyone at the last minute with some bill that would like to offer general comments?
I will.
Okay.
Is it okay?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm gonna have you sign that. And we would love to hear your that conversation, and please just follow the same rules that you saw. Introduce yourself, tell us where you live, and address us in general. Thank you.
My name is Ann McQuaid. I live at 14042 Deerfield Road, McCall. And we are members of the Community Congregational Church, and we did send a letter in. And I assume you've all read the letters, because Cascade reads the letters out loud. But okay, so you guys know what was said and concerns about the bar at 200 Lenore Street. One of the things that was mentioned by the realtor was that how the pastor, who's presently there, but leaving as of February 28th, did not realize the rules of the church. And he said, oh yeah, the bar's okay. Well, he hasn't been here a year, and it's not okay. The church, the law is there for a reason. I realize we're a small community, but there are numerous bars, and the fact that this wants to become a center of bar activity is not appropriate for everybody in that community, that area. And there will be spillover from the bar that is, and she talked about Manchester Event Center.
And like I noted in our letter, that when Manchester has an event, there's absolutely no parking. And we know there's fewer parking spaces in McCall all the time. The church will become a parking center. It already has become one. We realize that, but it will become more with this bar in our backyard. And so to say that it was okayed and she wants to get it reapproved, it really never went before the church, the congregation. And the rules of the church is that something like this has to go before the church. It was not handled that way. So this to me is not a reapproval or a repositioning. It was that it was never brought before us. And so that's the reason that you've received letters. And I know some of them were very good and very detailed. So we'd appreciate you considering the community, the congregation's viewpoints. Thank you.
We did receive your written comment, and our style is a little different than Cascade. Sometimes we get 50 or 100 comments,
Right.
so there wouldn't be time to read them all. But read them all publicly. But as I said at the beginning of the meeting, our council reads every one of them.
Good.
And we take it very serious. So thank you for attending tonight to
Thank you.
give us your input. All right. I think we got through everyone then on their general comment, public comment. Our next topic will be under the heading of reports. And this will be a well, that's right. First report is the Golf Course Advisory Committee. So Todd McKenna, you're going to address us. And thanks for, as I was talking before the meeting started, thanks for a great report
Yes.
that your committee put together. Really helpful to have that ahead of
Need
time.
street address and stuff like that or anything?
Yes, that would
Okay.
be great.
Todd McKenna, 659 Douglas Hall.
Thank you.
Thank you, council. Actually, just appreciate you letting us be here. Let me be here. We've had some really good changes that have happened at the golf course. They're big changes, great changes. And we're looking forward to what we've got coming forward. We've had a great run with Alan. Actually, one little thing, and I assume all of you read the letter that we proposed to you guys. Alan was here for 20 years and not 30 years. And so little bit of a mistake there, but did a great job. But we are really looking forward to where we're going as a golf course. First of all, we went through and I'm not going to go through this whole thing verbatim for you guys. So you guys have already read it. And we did go through quite the process to bring in and interview many pros. And we feel like through that process, including we had a lot of help from the PGA of America, that we really found a incredible fit for where we're going as a community. Our golf pro not only is super professional, but he fits into our community. His family fits here. They're going to be a blessing to who we are for the next 10, 15, 20 years, just like Alan was such a great fit for us for so many years. Where we're going now with this new pro and the way we went through this process has just been incredible. So I not only feel like our golf course is going to be successful because of it, but I think our community will also be really successful because of the family that's coming in. Another thing too, that I don't know if you noticed in the notes that we provided here, but you can see that our rounds of golf have begun to just continually increase. We're averaging over the last 5 years, I bet we're averaging 35,000 rounds. And that truly is probably between mid-June and mid-September. So that's about a 3. I mean, we do have some shoulder seasons and stuff like that. But the amount of play that we're getting is unprecedented as we're growing. I mean, our community offers let's some wonderful things that our community draws to us. We have a couple of ski hills in the area, Little Hill and Brundage. We have an incredible lake and we have a great state park. But I tell you what, another huge asset to our community is our golf course and the way our golf course is perceived, the way our golf course has been taken care of by Eric McCormick, your superintendent. It's unprecedented. I think that I'm fortunate enough to be able to play golf in many, many areas, and what he does is incredible. The way our golf course is the shape that it's in, and the way he does it in a mountain community is hard to believe for that short of a season. So we're looking forward to going forward. We hope, we're very thankful that you guys were able to kind of wipe out a little bit of a debt that we had over the last 15 years or something like that going forward, because we really do feel like we're gonna really see a huge boom in what we're doing here in the next few years. We've had some other little projects going on and as far as the golf course, I don't need to address any of those, so I'll just leave the rest. If you guys have any questions for me at all, as you know, what we're doing and where we're going.
Well, I'll start with you. Questions?
Okay, great. What feedback have you had about the tournament schedule, tournament pricing? Is that, do you find really well perceived and part of the growth curve is the way that tournaments are handled?
Growth curve, we are maxed out. So we're not growing anywhere. Our tournaments have waiting lists that are unprecedented. Our tournaments are a huge draw to our community and stuff like that. What was the rest of your question?
No, that was the.
Yeah, I mean, no, I think our tournaments, we have a sign up coming up here in about a week, and it's a first come, first serve. And I'll be surprised if our system doesn't crash, because it's just gonna be slammed, it really is.
I hope not.
No, I think that our tournaments, Alan did a great job with them for many years, and so did the pros leading into it. And I don't see any issues at all going forward with it.
Great. I'll take my second question and be done. Okay. The youth programs and how we provide opportunity for kids who finances of golfers struggle. How do you feel that we are bringing kids?
I can address last year as far as like youth and stuff like that. They did clinics, and I would be over there, and there would be a lot of kids, and we do have teaching pros that are over there, and they will dedicate, and I'm not sure if it was 1 day or 2 day, it seemed like every day there were kids, young kids, especially little kids over there that I do think that it's a great part of our community that the parents do drop their kids off and get them involved. And that not only is with the small kids, Lyle, but also even into the high school and the high school team and stuff like that. It's kind of nice to see so much youth over there. And I'm not just saying that, there really is a lot of good youth activity going on over there, truly, and affordable.
Yeah, Major, I think that's a theme of our community, Little Ski Hill and so many other rec programs. It is that every kid deserves an opportunity to do the recreation here. And it's really important that we.
And I think it's really affordable too. I mean, I really do. I think they're doing these clinics and it's like, $5 or something like that. And I tell you what, and if they don't have the money, I guarantee you they're probably doing it for free. I mean, I just don't see any kid ever being turned away over there, ever. So.
Great, thank you.
No, I'm fine. Thank you for the report.
Mike?
Thanks for your great positive.
It's hard not to be, Mike.
Thanks for bringing it into the.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
Fair compliment.
Chance to read. I hope you guys read this because Rita did such a great job putting it together. But guys, that's, like I said, I think our golf course is a huge part of who we are as a community. And I know, our ski hills are big, our lake is huge, our state park is awesome, but our golf course is, I mean, it's incredible how fortunate we are to have that. And, we have this summer is our 89th McCall Amateur, 89th. We're almost going to be 100 years old in just a few years. I mean, that's just crazy, I think I played in like 80 of those tournaments,
Colby,
You have anything?
any comments or questions you have?
No questions. I appreciate the great update, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to see how the golf course works into the future with the new structure. And definitely appreciate the reports that we get from you guys, the input on it, every year when we go and talk about the fees for golf courses and having these committees to verify that,
Right.
we're
on the right track.
Yeah, we've discussed this with our community, we bring it.
I appreciate you talking about the new structure and everything like that. I think that's going to be awesome for our city. I mean, for the city to be able to take that over is, I think you guys will see a really nice return right away. I mean, I meant to address that, but I kind of forgot about it. But the new system that we've put in, and we garnered a lot of information out of Southern Idaho and them already doing it. It was just like, this is a no-brainer to go this way for sure.
All right, before you finish, please tell Rita and the entire committee, thanks for a great report. And as you heard around the table, the various comments, everyone really appreciates this committee, what you do. It's really helpful to us. The city council, I think, has been very supportive, and we're very excited about the new direction and having David DiMartino on our team.
Yes. Yeah, so are we. I think as a community, we really are. So, guys, thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Todd.
You got it.
All right, we're gonna move on to David's presentation. David DiMartino, our PGA Pro. And he's going to talk to us after we open the public hearing. And this is a request to approve resolution 23-03, adopting the new 2023 golf course rental rates, the tournament fees, miscellaneous fees for the 2023 season. This is an action item. It is a public hearing. The purpose of the public hearing is to hear testimony regarding the request to approve resolution 23-03. So first step is to open the public hearing. May I have a motion to do that?
I move we open the public hearing for the golf course fee structure.
Second.
Thank you both. All in favor of opening tonight's public hearing on the golf fees for 2023, equipment rental rates, tournament fees, et cetera, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, this public hearing's formally open. I think we have followed all the procedures correctly, David. I think we have teed it up so as to speak. So And we've talked about this stuff before, so
Yes.
looking forward to seeing the concrete proposal in front of us.
Perfect. David DiMartino, head golf professional over at the McCall Golf Club. Thanks for allowing me to be here, Council, Mayor Bob. So I am here for the public hearing to discuss the request to approval, resolution 23-03, adopting the new 2023 golf course equipment rental rates and tournament fees. On January 26th, the staff, myself, and our golf committee proposed for council review to schedule a public hearing for the new rates and fees. Excuse me, as part of the implementation of the new golf course management model, the Golf Advisory Committee was tasked with making recommendations to council regarding establishment of equipment rates, rentals, tournament fees, and miscellaneous fees for the 2023 season. The public hearing was noticed for 2 weeks. So I'm here for recommended action of approve the resolution of 23-03, adopting the new 2023 golf course equipment rental rates, tournament fees, and miscellaneous fees for the 2023 season, and authorize the mayor to sign all necessary documents.
Great. Okay, before we get into initial questions, there was, see, we had one written comment
Yes.
and no one has signed up to.
We do have one, yes. Not on Teams, I don't think, but
Okay, nothing on Teams. Great, so the one written comment was from Roger Snodgrass. Did everyone see that digitally?
Mhm.
Okay, you got a copy of that? Great. Tony, would you address us tonight? And thank you for being here. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Tony Arkenstein. I live at 803 Fairway Drive here in McCall. I'm also a member of the advisory board. And I just want to give a little background to some of the things that we did. As part of the committee, last fall, we, I guess, surveyed several golf courses, Southern Idaho, even as far north as Lewiston. I picked 12 or 13 courses that were public or public played. And we looked at their rates, club rentals, cart rentals, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I provided a spreadsheet and we went through it. We weighed things such as a short season, which we have up here. We weighed what our fleet was going to become, et cetera. So we came up with these rates, and I'm 100% behind what they are. They weren't created in a vacuum. It wasn't just picking numbers from the sky. We did spend some time putting it together. And one of the nice things I like about our committee is that we seem to be able to talk about a lot of these things without anybody getting mad at each other, which is kind of a fun thing to do. But having said that, I just want to know that these just didn't come from pie in the sky. And we did look at the short season, which because we do have a short season and we have to compare ourselves with a lot of the Valley courses that they advertise a 12-month season, but sometimes they're 10 months, sometimes they're 11. And we took all that into account when we looked at these numbers. And there were some times that I advocated higher numbers, but we all thought these would be pretty good numbers. That's all I wanted to share with you all is that they just weren't created in a vacuum. They were reasonable, well thought out, and discussed at length at our meetings. So with that, I just want to support what David's put together, and the same with the tournament numbers, our tournament fees. Little added bonus to the city, you know, that all goes to prize money to the guys, and you have to buy the prizes at the clubhouse, and the city gets a little return on that as well. But having said that, I'm fully in favor of the numbers that are put forth in front of the council today. So if you have any questions about what I did or what we did, I'd be happy to answer them. And again, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Tony. It's always reassuring for us to know that the entire committee reached consensus on things like this. It's really helpful to city council to hear that.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you.
All right, questions for David?
And I would be remiss if I didn't thank my committee. I think I've come into various committees during my career, and we all know how some committees can be. And I can tell you, I'm very blessed with the individuals that we have on our golf committee. They're very vigilant, hyper vigilant in terms of really taking ownership of what we're doing and what we're trying to provide to the public. So thank you for, Todd, on behalf of Rita, speaking about our year and and Tony, thank you for coming up. It's certainly, when I was hired, I'm all about being inclusive and using the team as a benefit. I'll never say I know everything that has to happen, and I love having people that have so much care and curiosity on how we can improve our product. So I certainly appreciate them. So.
All right. At this point, we've discussed all the public comment. We've heard live testimony tonight and during the hearing, and you had a chance to read the one written comment. Is council comfortable with me closing the public comment period on this, and we'll go to the next phase of the hearing? Not closing the hearing, just the public
I
comment.
just had a question for David.
Okay.
So since I assume you or the advisory committee had decided to reduce golf cart rental rates based on a short season compared to, what they're charging maybe in the valley or something, is that still covering the cost of the carts and maintenance and everything?
Absolutely. Yeah, I
Okay.
think when you look at pricing things, certainly having a CMA or competitive market analysis, looking at your product compared to what your competitors are doing is certainly a piece of the pie. I think looking at the product that you're charging for is certainly part of that equation as well. Certainly the seasonality and what we do weighs into that. Certainly, I want to make sure we cover our cost of our new leased fleet. And so that definitely was part of the equation when we came up with our proposed fees. So, and we will still be running heavily, and we will be making money on it in terms, and as well as paying for our lease. So,
Okay, thanks.
yes,
And
hopefully that answers your question.
yeah, no, perfect. And one of the public comments was whether if you get a pass, I assume that the pass for the golf cart rental for the season is a seasonal pass. It doesn't, or it's like, I guess what was it? It was 20 uses or something like that.
Right, so
I guess the question is,
so I would propose, and again, that this 20 ride pass, punch pass can roll over. If they don't use it, we already offer a 10 punch pass that I think is a perpetual pass. And the good news is we have the ability to track that really extensively in our POS system. So.
okay.
So I truly stand by number one, I appreciate the feedback that Roger has given us. I think it's when you look at feedback in a positive light and look at it as an opportunity to better your operation, it's far better than looking at it like in a negative manner. So I appreciate all feedback. I really do. But I will say we really did extensively look at these fees, and I stand by our $320 pass for 20 punches. So.
Okay,
I'm done.
all right. Thanks. Well, we did the staff rebuttal on the public comment. It sounds like you had time, council, to ask any questions, but let me ask you one more time. You good with your questioning? Because if so, I will ask for you to close the public hearing, and then we'll talk about making a motion. We good to close the public hearing? Okay.
Yeah, I'll move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Thank you both. A motion has been made and seconded to close tonight's public hearing on the golf course proposed rates for 2023. All in favor of closing the hearing, please say aye.
Aye.
If there's anyone opposed, please say nay. Hearing none, we are closed on that portion of tonight's discussion, and it's time for council to discuss the evidence that we've learned from the hearing and the presentations, and see if you are ready to make a motion to approve the fees. Lyle, how do you feel about this?
I feel good about them. And I think just for the public's awareness on this, and it maybe relates to Annette and Linda Stokes and that, but I think that subsidizing, if we were to use that word, the gyms or the assets of the cities and the public course, we subsidize lots of things, of course, parks and recreation that are community assets that draw people here, that give opportunity for our youth and that type of thing. So where the bottom line comes from, the expense of the golf course, and to the fees we have to, some people say, well, why are we subsidizing a golf course? I don't play golf. Well, it has a lot of community value. So I'm just wondering how it kind of shakes out, and how public golf courses, maybe in some of that comparison we looked at, the committee looked at other public golf courses. How are we in terms of overall revenues to expenses for the golf course in comparison to maybe some city courses? May not be a fair comparison because they get 10 months to collect revenue versus our 4 or 5.
I can try to answer that, Councilor Nelson, Mayor Bob. So we are in the very first year of this new management model. And yes, in the past, we have subsidized the maintenance of the golf course. The goal is that we try to be as self-sustaining as possible at the golf course, having 100% of the operations now under our umbrella. And so we'll see how that goes. So we don't have a season under our belts yet to provide you a specific answer as to how it's going, because this will be the first one this year. But we have done some modeling and to try to estimate or predict how this is going to work out over the next couple of years while we're making some decisions in this transition. So we'll be able to go into more detail about it in the budget process too. But yeah, so I think that is our goal. It is an enterprise fund, which should operate like a business. Yeah. And we'll be reinvesting those dollars into those capital projects that were identified in the asset management plan.
I think that's a good concept for people to understand. That's an enterprise fund, and generally we run it like a business, and the concept is that can it pay for itself? And as we have looked at sometimes the necessity in the best interest of people we serve to put funds into it, we do. But we don't have to, we don't. Okay, thanks. That answered my question. It's a really good question.
But let me ask you a question. Are you good with the proposal then? So.
Oh, yeah. I should start with that. I'm really good with that.
Really?
Yeah, it sounds like it's well thought out. They did their homework. We didn't get any substantial negative comments from our community, so we didn't get a ton support either, but so, usually get the negative ones and not a bunch of, comments of people being happy. So, yeah, I'm in support of the proposal.
Thank you. Mike?
Mhm.
Colby?
Yeah, I am. I'm excited to see how first year goes. To kind of respond to Lyle a little bit too, is that, yeah, that is the intention, that we move away from subsidizing the golf course, and we are going to have some more flexibility in being able to make necessary changes if we need to, if we see we're not meeting the goals financially there, where in the past it was kind of a challenge with the contract with the Golf Pro and being able to make any changes on the operation. So I think we have a lot more flexibility now, and it's pretty exciting to see. And I think we've got someone great leading the charge there. So
I feel the same way. I think excited about it.
Yeah, across the board, good team.
So David, here's the only change I heard, and I'm great with the proposal. I've looked at it a couple of times. The only change is to be sensitive to a good critique, you might say, from Roger Snodgrass. You would make the punch card, we call it, or the 20 pass would not expire in 1 year.
Yeah,
It would roll over and you would track that. Is that correct?
yes, I'm
Okay.
okay with that.
So when someone makes a motion to, and uses the words in the agenda bill, just add that in so that we capture that one change. I will call for a motion.
All right, I move to approve resolution 23-03, adopting the new 2023 golf course equipment rental rates, tournament fees, and miscellaneous fees for the 2023 season, with the amendment that the 20 pass golf cart pass will not expire in a year and will carry over, and authorize the mayor to sign all necessary documents.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Julie. All right. Motion has been made and seconded to approve resolution 23-03, adopting the new 2023 golf course equipment rental rates, tournament fees, miscellaneous fees for the 2023 season as amended and described by Council Member Thrower, and authorize the mayor to sign all necessary documents. May I have a roll call vote on that motion, please?
Councilmember Thrower,
Yes.
Councilmember Machezik,
Yes.
Mayor Giles,
Yes.
Councilmember Nelson,
Yes.
Councilmember Nielsen,
yes.
Thank you, council. That motion carries. And thank you, David.
Thank you, council members, Mayor Giles, appreciate all the support, and I too am really looking forward to the summer as well. So super excited.
It'll come.
It may not look like it right now, but
Thank you for all the support. We certainly appreciate it. So thank you.
Good job.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
We're going to move into the business agenda. And our first topic is Agenda Bill 23-036, the reconsideration of RAS LLC request regarding service of liquor at 200 Lenora Street within 300 feet of the church. Bessie Jo Wagner is on with us. Bessie Jo, we can see you there on your screen and on our screen, I should say. Would you lead us through the introduction to this topic? Bessie Jo, could you unmute, please? We're not able to hear you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, well, good evening, Mayor and Council. It's nice to see you all, even though it's on video. I'm introducing the RAS LLC request. At the January 12th meeting, Council reviewed the request along with a letter from the McCall Community Congregational Church. Council voted. They had no objection to the RAS LLC request as long as they did not serve alcohol prior to noon on Sundays. On January 13th, staff received a new letter from the church rescinding their first letter. The new letter is attached in your packet along with some comment letters that were received. On January 26th, staff informed council and asked if they would like to reconsider the manner. Council voted to reconsider the request at today's meeting. I believe that Raz LLC's representative is there in the audience, Rob Lyons. And so I didn't know if you would like to hear from him this evening.
Yes, that would be very appropriate. So Rob, would you address this from up here? And there probably are some questions from council based on general comments that we heard tonight and written comments, as well as other comments that people have filed. And
Okay.
we would certainly like to have a robust dialogue with you. So.
All right, well, I'm Robert Lyons, 903 Ann Street. As you know, we presented the proposal based on the letter the applicant went to, or Monica went to the church, talked with them. They gave the letter that they provided. That's what we went with. And apparently there were some people that, didn't agree. And I don't know what happened there with the church, but apparently some agree, some don't. So obviously that was presented back. The application, again, as was stated earlier, the state law does allow for an exception within that zoning, within a certain amount of distance. And that was kind of designed when that was created for small towns, because they are such small areas in towns with commercial districts that they allow the city to create an exception for that because of the small towns, similar to this. Everyone wants to be in the business district area. And so that exemption allows for that in this area. Some of the concerns the church had was safety. There are going to be more security, more cameras that will prevent anything from happening potentially to the church. They've already had issues they've mentioned, which has nothing to do with it. This would add more safety. I don't feel the smoking is going to be an issue. Everything's going to be inside. There is some outside seating in the summer, but it's well over 100 feet away from the door, and they're focused that way. It's focused that way, so smoke doesn't carry over 100 feet. So I understand their concerns, but this is an exception or a use that's allowed in the area. The parking, there's not a whole lot of parking downtown in general. Everybody downtown doesn't have parking. There is a public parking lot across the street, and parking will be scattered throughout the area. We feel, it wouldn't damage the area. It's going to, we'll do everything, or most of the stuff in the church, they have listed quite a few items. When we looked at their calendars, there's one thing that shows after 6 o'clock and is a group meeting. Everything else is early in the day. So, we would obviously like to be good neighbors and everything with them. We'll do everything to keep things clean, but there is quite a bit of separation. You have the health food store in between that. You can't even see the current pet store from the church. There is quite a buffer there. And it's not going to build back up towards the alleyway. There's nothing going to be up at the alleyway. That's going to be, I believe parking is going to come down way down from it. So the closest anything's going to be is well over 100 feet, 130 feet approximately. And so, we did everything based on approval. Both the current owner of the building went through motions after we got the approval. The applicant went through, future or moving forward, and, both of them, incurred costs based on that approval. And we were sorry that there was some difference of opinions within the church, but, that was out of our control. We did everything we thought correctly in the beginning and still tried to address everything, any of their concerns that we possibly could. So, but again, it is allowed, and you got to look back to the intent of the code or the law many, many years ago. Again, it was for small towns that have small business areas that just didn't preclude it for any reason. And we pretty much fit into that. If that any questions?
Any questions from council? Mr. Lyons? I don't have any further questions. Okay. Thank you, Rob. Okay, in our packet, you have all the written comments. One of the things, Bessie Jo, can you still hear me all right? If you could unmute just to track process with me. So one of the things, Bessie Jo, that we asked, I believe formally through, I think Annette communicated this to the McCall Community Congregational Church. We asked for an official letter of the official position. Those are my words on this issue. You remember us documenting that we made that request?
Yes, and the letter is in your packet.
The response from the church is.
Correct. I just wanted to make sure that I was tracking that right. That was one of the steps we said we would do as a city council and as a city to make sure that we had input, because as Mr. Lyons correctly stated, there was some confusion early on. Has everyone had a chance to review that in their packet?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Bessie Jo. Is there anything else before we get to the next part of this agenda item? Anything else you'd like to tell us?
Not that I can think of, unless you have any questions about any of the comments that you received.
Okay. Anyone have any questions about comments that we've received? Or Bessie Jo as the city clerk, or Annette as our city manager? I don't have any questions. Okay. All right. So I'm going to ask legal counsel, how do we go about making a recommended action? Do we make a motion? And how do we, what are our choices at this point before the council?
So, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, basically you have previously moved to reconsider your decision. So you essentially are voting whether to keep the decision that you made on January 12th or make a new decision. So it would be either a motion to sustain the prior decision or a motion to make a new decision. And I mean, and I think you should proceed that motion with some discussion. What it is you want to do to review this, I mean, talk about it again. Essentially, since that initial decision, you've received new information. Right. And you've had not only the written public comments, but you had public comments associated with even the decision whether to have a vote, whether to reconsider at all. So you've had public input of various kinds, both oral and written. So I would suggest you have some deliberation because you had input about what kind of activities are held at the church, whether those are activities of worship or activities of community, music activities, those sorts of things, events, I would call them, how those play into the statute, the reasons for the statute. You can talk about the information you received tonight, things in the letter, the official position that the church has taken in terms of a congregational vote, which you didn't have before. Again, I'd suggest you have some deliberation. And then you can have a motion as to whether to stand by your initial decision with this additional information or whether to make a new decision.
Thank you for that advice, Bill. So let's carry out our responsibility for a very careful deliberation, and I'm going to call on each of you to talk about what you think about all of this, and we'll make sure that everyone gets a chance to deliberate and offer their thoughts, and that will probably spur some more discussion amongst council, perhaps some more questions as well. So let me start with you, Lyle.
Okay. First, I would agree with Mr. Lyons' assessment that did everything proper from their point of view and got the authorization. However, I think that when something is presented in front of us, as we operate on the best information we have, that the church was in support of it. And the fact that given the proper authorization, which seemingly from their point of view, they would have said we do have, as it turns out, didn't have. To me, I think the official word from the church matters. And the decision. I feel that the law, I agree, it has two sides, as Mr. Lyons pointed out again, for those communities. When somebody opens a church and calls it a church in the middle of town, there's 20 members, or it's the oldest church in town. It gets a little bit subjective. But I think that maybe the initial intent was really to honor the church's input to that. So I know the authority rests with us. Had the church submitted a letter to us on the first deliberation on this, that they were opposed to it, I would have cited with that carries precedence, that it's intent of the law, and that it's beholden upon the purchaser of the property to get the church's approval. And I would have, in that instance, cited to not grant that exception. So I'll start with that as my kind of opening remarks.
Yeah, no, that's really helpful, Julie.
Yeah, I want to echo Lyle's comment about, I don't feel anyone was trying to, slip anything by here, and they did, what they thought they needed to do to get, to get a decision from us about having a liquor license there. So I just want to point that out. This, I know that they spent some money, but I think as a council, that may have implications depending on what decision we make here, but I think we need to think of it. It kind of reminds me of Michelle Groenveld's comments, on some of the development applications that we see. Is this is a long-term thing. This is going to be here. So I think that idea takes precedent over short-term implications of, financial issues and how the city might be implicated in that. Thinking a lot about this and in the comments, I know when we initially got the no objection letter, we kind of were like, yeah, well, as long as the bar's not open when there's worship services, and we were focused on the actual church services. We've gotten comments here that a lot more goes on there. And I started thinking about, well, what is the church? I mean, it's not just a building where people go and have these specific services. It is a place where people go. They're having sewing groups, they're having quilting groups. They might not be official church services with sermons and this and that, but people come in fellowship to be in a place where they, I don't know what they talk about, whether they talk about sewing technique or whether they talk about God and their beliefs and issues going on in their lives and that kind of thing, and how that fits into their religious beliefs. So I think overlooking those sorts of functions that church building provides, I think we overlooked that. And I think the comments brought that out for me. Also, I think back to, I grew up Catholic, and whenever my family would go somewhere, we would often just go to churches, especially historic churches, but we would go in there and we wouldn't just kind of go in and look around, but we went and we prayed, and we, if they were Catholic churches, we lit the little candles and, prayed for the souls of our dead. And we would, be there as a place where God is, and a place to be, try and feel the presence of God. So I think just, the fact that we might have visitors that come and do that are not official meetings. I think that is an important thing to protect as far as the surrounding community of what is going around the church. It was brought up that Krusty's is there, for instance. I know they serve alcohol, whether it's hard liquor, I don't know, but they're more of a restaurant. more kind of, at least that's sort of the atmosphere I get. I've been there a few times and it's, you know, they serve pizza. I take my kids there, you know, and that kind of thing. Huckleberry Gardens, I mean, maybe they sell liquor, but they don't serve it. So, you know, and this is going to be a bar, maybe with a food at a food cart or something like that, but they are going to have outside activities where I think the noise is going to carry more. You know, I'm really sensitive to smoke. I grew up in California where smoking was banned a long time ago. You know, outdoor smoke, you know, even when I go visit family and I'm at the San Diego airport and I'm outside waiting for someone to pick me up and there's a smoking area way down there and I'm just like, whew, you know, it travels. And so, you know, there's no hard evidence that it's going to travel to the church at this point when in the summer with the windows open, but I could see that happening. And so I think there are, you know, I'm not, you know, I'm definitely not opposed to this business being somewhere. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it actually kind of with the outdoor cornhole stuff and everything sounds kind of like a fun place. But I don't think it's appropriate to for this area next to the church, based on the comments that were shared with us.
Thank you, Julie. Mike, what's your initial thoughts?
Well, I think that Lyle and Julie both just articulated a lot of points very, very well, which I would agree with. And then, you know, as people have heard me echo plenty probably, but I do feel a big part of our role is to listen to the community and then try to make decisions that are in the best interest of the members of our community. Either way, whatever we decide, at least 4 to 6 people on either side are going to be disappointed. So we've had a lot of public input and feedback matters. I think it definitely does to me, at least in the way I consider my role in the time that I'm on council. And so I think we've got a lot of concerns from a lot of people in the community. And those people are part of the church. Yes, they're part of our community. So like that does weigh. So we're boiling it down to some degree. It appears that we're making a decision that is either going to disappoint a significant number of people within our community, or it's going to disappoint the parties to the transaction. It's one or the other. But I think you guys articulated things very, very well, so I don't need to say more. I'm sure Colby has some good thoughts.
Colby, I'll go to you next.
I guess I have a question regarding the, you know, the procedure that should we grant this application, it would go to P&Z and there would be some sort of design review, but it probably wouldn't end up back at us, would it, or would it not?
I don't think it would. I think Michelle's on the line, or she was earlier. Brian's on and he can confirm this, but my understanding is it's a directly permitted use. So the only application is design review, which is the authority of the P&Z to approve. And unless the applicant appeals that design review, nothing will come to the city council related to that application. And my understanding is that, oh, there's Brian, they did submit all their paperwork to be on the P&Z meeting in March, correct, Brian?
Yes, everything you've said is exactly correct.
Yay. Yeah, so the issue at P&Z doesn't have anything to do with the liquor license. It's
Correct.
all the building aesthetics and the use.
But it does have something to do with the mitigation of the concerns.
Oh, yeah, I believe that type of thing, parking and the outdoor elements. Brian can speak to that, but I think, yeah, they will discuss things like
Yeah, I
that.
mean, I think that a beautiful wall is Mr. D. Trumpster Fire would say. would probably solve a lot of problems. And yeah, I hear what everyone's been saying about this, and it is unfortunate that we had the misinformation initially from the church. But, you know, looking at our community, our downtown core that has been just really thoroughly built out for us with hopes and dreams of attracting new businesses to this downtown core to use these new sidewalks and streets and on-street parking. And we got First Street coming up here to be redone as well.
And that parking lot.
And that parking lot, it's part of our new urban renewal district. And it's a business that's not a real estate office, which is amazing. Because I don't know about you guys, but seeing the ebb and flow of real estate offices taking up prime business space in this downtown core is, you know, frustrating.
Get rid of the Albertson Summer Store.
Yeah, good. But that's, you know, that in the discussions over the years about, you know, why focus on developing this downtown core here. The big argument is that, oh, well, it's gonna, you know, hopefully drive redevelopment in this area to get new things in here. As far as a bar, I don't think it is much different than a restaurant with outdoor seating. I suppose if this was proposed to be a restaurant with outdoor seating, I'm not sure that there would be the opposition. There may be. Say Krusty's is not a quiet neighbor, at least 2 nights a week in the summer with the music. And as far as community gathering places, I think that these are community gathering places. We don't know what people talk about there, quilting, scrapbooking, whatever, but people gather at these places and commune. And I think they are important for our community. And having businesses in our community is important as well. You know, it adds to the vitality of our community, which is in jeopardy right now with what's going on with housing and people essentially being evicted via greed. And we're losing the soul of our community. And I think having community gathering places for everyone is important, and having a variety of businesses is important, and to stay in line with the goal of this vitality downtown, where we've made all these investments into this downtown core to have this walkable, you know, business friendly core. I think that, you know, this business is in line with that. I do understand the concerns with the church and the potential for having a bar right there, but I think that there's ways in design that a lot of those concerns could be mitigated, to have some real meaningful separation and buffering to prevent some of that noise. So I guess that's kind of my take on it. I support local businesses, and not trying to disregard the members of the church and what the church is and everything, but I don't feel that this is going to have the great negative impact that everyone is proclaiming.
I just want to remind people there is a business there already, so it's not like a vacant, deteriorating building. So as far as a bar coming in versus a pet store staying, I mean, I know there's differences in the businesses and everything, but I just as the business being there, I don't value one over the other.
So my thoughts, I'm not going to repeat all the good things that have been said before, other than just looking at this letter dated February 16th. We asked the church, the McCall Community Congregational Church, to give us an official position. And according to the chair, Phil Rayberger, who signed this letter, there were 2 meetings held. It was discussed thoroughly. They reached out apparently they used the term respondents to the poll. So they reached out to all members that they know about, and everyone was opposed to having a bar at that location. There were 2 abstentions. So that's I would characterize that as that's a pretty strong position that they stated. They did respond in a timely manner, and I, like other council members have stated, I think that's pretty important information. When we were briefed on the legislative intent by the state legislature, and then when we were informed of the activities that occur, I agree with Julie that many of the activities, in addition to Sunday morning worship, I would define as worship. And the members do not want to see this conflict. So for that reason, I would weigh in on the issue like several of you have stated. Any other thoughts that people on council would like to share?
I want to merge 2 thoughts, and I really agree with Colby. The idea that we're trying to invigorate to some extent and design our downtown around some vibrancy and the idea of commune and where people go to find social support and is really important. And then as Mike said, we're here to represent what we think is the community's overall desire. And I think that law is somewhat also meant to give us the leeway to interpret the community. So where I am on this is, I think we are promoting what Colby said. On the other hand, we're representing people. And so I like their business idea. I think it's really unfortunate how a little bit the misstep within that. I'd like to see that happen somewhere, or the resistance being just that close to the church and a group that is in opposition. That tilts me slightly towards not rescinding our previous decision. I mean, I'm sorry, tilts me towards rescinding our previous decision.
I'd just like to follow up with one of Colby's points about the P&Z design. And, I wish we had that information now, right? And the church and everybody had that information before doing that, but unfortunately that apparently is not the stepwise process that we're going through.
Not the topic of our discussion.
Yeah.
But I think it's a piece of information that could address a lot of those concerns, to ultimately have a good coexistence, church and the business, because it is this compact little area here. Ultimately, from all the hopes and dreams I've heard over the years from our city staff is that we want to make that a vibrant downtown core. And that's, you know, I think a piece to it that, you know, an area that, or a business that drives more foot traffic to it, you know, is a good thing, and it might help other businesses that along that street or encourage redevelopment of other existing properties in this downtown core.
Yeah, and I get that, but then, you know, like Mike said, you have the community telling us, you know, and I mean, another thing, and maybe, you know, maybe that's enough of a buzz around there to have a pet store and a church and Huckleberry Gardens for the downtown core in that area, you know, but,
yeah,
you know, so it's almost potentially two competing visions here of
yeah.
You know,
I mean, I guess the reason I keep pushing that point is that I've been adamantly opposed to the development of this downtown core in favor of doing other more practical projects throughout the city. But that's where we are now, and that's the logic behind this downtown core, and it's here, so why not support that idea? I from my side, I hear and have read all the comments and understand the concerns, and do not take those comments lightly. To be clear about that. Good.
do something, Bob.
Well, the fact that it's been a little bit quiet, I think you've all deliberated and you've heard from all of us. So I won't repeat anything more, but I think it is time to make a motion. And the two choices again, Bill, were either to
Mr. Mayor, Council would be whether to sustain the action that was taken on January 12th or to rescind the approval that was granted on January 12th. Maybe I should put it that whether to affirm the approval that was granted on January 12th or rescind the approval that was granted.
all right. I'm not supposed to lead you in any direction, so which motion would someone like to make?
I'll make the motion. There was some degree of reluctance, I'll say for sure. I move that we rescind the approval we previously provided at our city council meeting in approving the location of this enterprise in the proximity of the church.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Is there any further discussion before I call for a roll call vote on that motion? All right. There's been a motion that's been seconded to, what was the wording, Lyle?
Rescind the approval.
You rescind the approval of
that we gave at a previous city council meeting to authorize the location of this enterprise within the proximity of the church.
the 200 Lenora. Okay,
The liquor license.
the liquor license. Thank you. May I have a roll call vote on that motion, please?
Councilmember Nelson,
Yes.
Councilmember Thrower,
Yes.
Mayor Giles,
Yes.
Councilmember Machesik,
Yes.
Councilmember Nielsen,
No.
That motion carries, and thank you, council, for being very honest and helpful during the deliberation and reading all the materials, listening carefully, and making a tough decision. Thank you. All right. What's next? Looks like Delta James is going to talk to us about a raise grant application, Idaho Transportation Department. Delta and Nathan.
Good evening.
Thanks for joining us.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. I'm Delta James, Economic Development Planner. Yes, for your consideration is a request to approve submittal of a RAISE grant application through the Idaho Transportation Department. So the RAISE is an acronym which stands for Rebuilding American Infrastructure with Sustainability and Equity. It is a federal grant program through the U.S. Department of Transportation. It has been offered in previous years. However, this year it is seeing a significant influx of funding from the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, which is also called BILL, or Building Infrastructure Law, the federal level. So the program this year has an unprecedented amount of money available in it. It's a $2.2 billion total, which will be distributed throughout the U.S. for transportation-related construction and planning activities. Because it is a federal grant program and is nationally available, it is a very competitive grant program. However, we would like to partner with the Idaho Transportation Department in submitting a grant request specifically to accomplish in a community engaged process to complete preliminary design and engineering of the existing State Highway 55 route through our downtown core and the Boydston-Deinhardt alternative route, which may function as a bypass. This is the next step necessary to further the rerouting of heavy trucks and through traffic and highway traffic around our downtown core and enable more flexibility to develop the rights of way through our downtown core to facilitate multimodal and pedestrian connectivity. The total project cost is a little bit under $3.6 million. The grant request would be for 80% of that, and it would be matched by a cost share split between the Idaho Transportation Department of 10% or $359,689 and 10% from the City of McCall in that same amount over a three-year project, three fiscal year project window. That's the basic overview. I'm happy to go. We provided the detailed scope of the project in your packets. Developed by Horrocks engineers, so you can see the level of planning that would occur if the project is funded, essentially making our project ready for construction investment to develop the necessary improvements to facilitate the rerouting and the pedestrian multimodal infrastructure on our existing 3rd and Lake Street State Highway 55 corridor.
Questions for Delta from council?
What about comments?
Yeah, comments, absolutely. Questions or comments, any
We
dialogue?
are just so lucky to have you, Delta. That's my comment. I'm continually amazed at how much you find to try to accomplish these types of things. And so it's just phenomenal in the way you present it and everything else. And so just wanted to call that out.
Thank you, Counselor. I appreciate the praise, but honestly, I could not do it without the willingness of the department heads that I work with. And so Nathan really deserves a lot of credit too. We had to step up really quickly and kind of aggressively to make this grant feasible at all. And it took multiple meetings with ITD and coordination to get to this point. Again, it is a you can thank me if we get the grant. It's very, very competitive, but we can't win if we don't play, kind of thing. So, and we do have a willing partner in ITD. ITD will be the lead applicant. However, I'm preparing all of the grant materials for their staff. ITD is beneficial to have them as the lead applicant because they're already set up to administer the Federal Transportation Administration funding. So that'll make it easier on our staff on the back end if we are lucky enough to receive funding.
Is there anyone not on board with this that would like to talk about this or ask questions?
Well, it's a critical piece.
Yeah.
If we got the funding.
Yeah.
And having it shovel ready, I like that term. It's great. So I think we're ready for a motion. Then we have the motion language in the agenda, Bill.
I'll make the motion to approve submittal of a raised grant application in partnership with ITD and authorize the mayor to sign all necessary documents.
I'll second.
Thank you both. The motion has been made and seconded to approve submittal of a raised grant application in partnership with ITD and authorize the mayor to sign all necessary documents. May I have a roll call vote on this motion, please?
Councilmember Machese.
Yes.
Councilmember Thrower.
Yes.
Mayor Giles.
Yes.
Councilmember Nelson.
Yes.
Councilmember Nielsen.
Yes.
Thank you, council. That motion carries. All right, we're a player, Delta. We're behind you 100%, Nathan.
And Mayor, before you leave this evening, I do have the one document that you need to sign, which is the match commitment letter. I have that ready for you to go, and I'm just upstairs, so I'll bring it to you before you leave this evening.
Very good. Thanks for being timely.
I just got to add on to Mike's comment. And this is so definitive of the future of transportation in McCall and the work put into that and the detail and it's so compelling to read that of why it's essential for Idaho and our community and reading through all the separate scopes of work. Anyhow, when you think about all the things for the next 50 years that impact the city, this grant addresses one of the top issues for sure. Yeah, well, they're so well done. Thanks.
So Nathan, we're going to move to you and please express our thanks to your department and also Horrocks Engineering, our consultant that helps us.
Certainly.
So let's please let them know that we're really like Delta Express. It's a team effort and we hope this goes great. Let's move on to the remodel of the housing unit that we fondly call the Toaster on Davis Avenue.
I think I'm up then. Can you all hear me?
Yes, John.
Well, thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is John Powell, the building official for the City of McCall. And I'm presenting our agenda item to request approval of a construction contract between the City of McCall and Dalrymple Construction Services for the Toaster remodel at 1614 Davis Avenue. And as you referenced, Mayor, the Toaster is the building that was donated. Council previously approved and funded its the moving of it and placing it on a permanent foundation. So this is kind of phase 2 of getting it ready to be an actual dwelling. So we need to remodel one of the bedrooms, one of the bathrooms into a kitchen, so that it can be a residence. So we solicited bids from 3 different construction companies. We also advertised. We received 2 bids, 2 responsive bids, and the responsive low bidder was Dalrymple Construction Services. This contract has been sent for review by the city attorney, and it's based on one we've used previously. We haven't received any comments back on it. So our recommended action is for council to approve the contract with Dalrymple Construction Services for the remodel of the Toaster House at 1614 Davis Avenue and authorize the mayor to sign all necessary documents.
Thank you, John. And thanks for working so hard on that. It's really exciting to see us get to phase 2 and have something ready by this summer for housing. All right, questions on the contract and low bidder status? Are everybody on board with this project?
Yeah.
All right. How about a motion to approve then?
I move to approve the contract with Dalrymple Construction Services Incorporated for the remodel of the Toaster House at 1614 Davis Avenue and authorize the mayor to sign all necessary documents.
Second.
Thank you both. Motion has been made and seconded to approve the contract with Dalrymple Construction Services Incorporated for the remodel of the Toaster House at 1614 Davis Avenue and authorize the mayor to sign all necessary documents. May I have a roll call vote on this motion, please?
Councilmember Thrower,
Yes.
Councilmember Machesik,
Yes.
Mayor Giles,
Yes.
Councilmember Nelson,
Yes.
Councilmember Nielsen,
Yes.
Thank you, council. That motion carries. All right, John, we'll look forward to a tour sometime this summer.
So I got one.
You got
quick
it.
Question for John. Can you make Kramer come bursting through that door, please?
I wish I could.
Well, good work on
Thanks,
that.
thanks, council.
You're very welcome. Thanks for your hard work. Okay, we're going to move on to the airport. Emily, we have navigation easement that didn't quite fit the standard one, and you gave us a good explanation of the background on this one. So go ahead and give us a quick sound bite, and the packet was very complete, and then I'll see if there's any questions.
Okay, good evening, Mayor. Good evening, council members. As the agenda bill states, I agreed with the property owners that it made good sense to add a little more language to offer some additional protections to them because they were the individuals who had the wrong tree cut down on their property. I did review this with the city attorney and we came to a good agreement. He offered some excellent language, and essentially all I did was add some language to state that in the event a tree does extend into the airspace as determined by LiDAR survey, the airport will work with the property owner to mitigate the hazard, with the removal of the tree as the last option. There's other ways that we can deal with these problems. Basically just keep lines of communication open all the way through the process to find a good solution for both the property owner and the airport and the FAA. And they also asked that they have like 3 pretty significant ditches on their property, which is awesome. And they wanted some extra language stating that they didn't have to do anything to mitigate their natural water features. They didn't have to make them smaller. They can leave them as they are as long as they don't expand them or enlarge them, which would additionally draw waterfowl. So we came to a good agreement, and I would take any questions if you have any.
And all of that language is in our packet that you just talked about.
All right,
correct?
sorry to.
I was
Yes,
just
it is.
verifying that with you. Okay.
Yes, it is. It's in the new navigation easement. I am going to continue asking applicants to use the standard template that you approved back in September. That has been vetted by many, many people in the aviation community. We think it's a solid document. You agreed on September 8th. So I'm going to continue using that document, but of course I will be willing to work with individual parties if they want to add language that would offer further protections to them or to the city.
Thank you. Questions?
Emily, I'm glad you described the water features as ditches. I was trying to are these like bird baths or something, you know? Yeah.
All this
They're
property
bigger
used to
than a
be,
bird bath.
yeah, cattle grazing, the Flora Holtz ditch, 2 others, Stringer ditch. Yeah, so we don't see a lot of birds landing in ditches, but they agreed not to build ponds, which was nice.
Okay, we good to go with this?
Yes,
So
I would.
Make a motion, please.
Make the motion to approve the updated abrogation as the easement for Melinda and James Hamblin and authorize the mayor to sign all necessary documents.
Second.
Thank you. Okay, a motion has been made and seconded to approve the updated abrogation easement for Melinda and James Hamlin and authorize the mayor to sign all necessary documents. May I have a roll call vote on this motion?
Councilmember Machesik?
Yes.
Councilmember Nelson?
Yes.
Mayor Giles?
Yes.
Councilmember Nielsen?
Yes.
Councilmember Thrower?
Yes.
Thank you, council. That motion carries. We're going to move on to some more grant submittals. Delta James is going to help us through those topics.
Well, from a $2.8 million grant request to this one, which is a $1,500 grant request to the Idaho Commission for Libraries, so that the McCall Public Library can obtain an intern for the summer months in 2023. This grant has been awarded in 2021 and 2022, and the library would like to do it again. They've had very good experiences with their interns. Their interns are young adult ages, 16 to 28. They're recruited through a number of sources and usually help with the summer programs. Ideally, the candidate would be bilingual to also help with library outreach to underserved communities.
May I have a motion to approve submittal of the Idaho Libraries Grant application?
I move to approve submittal of Idaho Commission for Libraries grant application for a library intern and authorize the mayor to sign all necessary documents.
Second.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded to approve submittal of Idaho Commission for Libraries grant application for a library intern and authorize the mayor to sign all necessary documents. May I have a roll call vote on this motion?
Councilmember Thrower?
Yes.
Councilmember Machesik?
Yes.
Mayor Giles?
Yes.
Councilmember Nelson?
Yes.
Councilmember Nielsen?
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries. Delta is now going to talk to us about a request to appoint Morgan Zadalis to the McCall Historic Preservation Commission.
So Morgan Zadalis, who is a natural resources conservation social scientist and works for the Payette National Forest as an archaeologist, has been serving on the McCall Historic Preservation Commission for 3 years. Her first term has now expired, and she would like to be considered for a second 3-year term. We did advertise the position vacancy per city policy in the local paper and through social media and received no other applications. She's extraordinarily qualified and assists in our certification as a certified local government through the state's Historic Preservation Office, which does open up certain grant opportunities to the community that we would not otherwise get if we did not have her type of expertise on our local Historic Preservation Commission.
Great. I'm so glad that she's excited to serve a second term. Extremely helpful. All right, I'll look for a motion to appoint Morgan Zadalis to a 3-year term.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you both. Motion has been made and seconded to appoint Morgan Zadalis to a 3-year term on the McCall Historic Preservation Commission expiring February 2026. May I have a roll call vote on this motion?
Councilmember Nielsen?
Yes.
Councilmember Machesik?
Yes.
Mayor Giles?
Yes.
Councilmember Nelson?
Yes.
Councilmember Thrower?
Yes.
Thank you, council. That motion carries. Please notify Morgan that we will need her help over the next 3 years and tell her thanks.
I will do. Thank you. You'll see her at the volunteer appreciation event, I think. So
great.
Thank you.
Del. All right, we're on to Annette Spickard, City Manager, giving us an update on upcoming meeting schedule.
Thank you, Mayor Giles. Whoops, I just zoomed right past it. All right, as you were notified by Bessie Joe via email, tomorrow morning's Friday work session is canceled. We've moved the pros plan update out to the end of March. So the consultants have some more time to finish their work before they present it to you. So yeah, you get the day off tomorrow or those 2 hours back. We don't have anything that's come up that's required the March 2nd special meeting. So unless there's something that you all have a burning desire to do on that Thursday, I don't think we need it. So that is that. In terms of March 9th, I'm happy to report that Valley County earlier this week on Tuesday adopted the Waterways Management Plan. And so Michelle has added to the March 9th schedule for the council to consider adopting the plan as well. And then if you do, we'll move forward with work towards the implementation items in the plan. So you'll expect that on the 9th. Let's see here.
Thanks.
And we should have,
And that, I did speak with Dave Bingaman.
Did you?
To initiate moving towards implementation
okay, great.
and going down through that process. So
Let's see, and then we are getting into that time of year where we will be awarding contracts for construction projects, primarily public works projects for the construction season coming up. At the end of March, you have a couple of land use items coming to you out of the Planning and Zoning Commission. They're the scenic route code amendment and then the middle school expansion project. Let's see. And we have scheduled based on your discussions at your priority setting at the end of April, that meeting will talk about impact fees and do sort of training, you know, get everybody up to speed on what those are. And we have a previous consultant's report on impact fee recommendations from the past that we will also talk with you about and see if the council wants to move in that direction after the training to address development and growth impacts on us. And I think that is about all I'm going to highlight. And I see Bessie Jo turned her camera on, so I wasn't sure if she had something she wanted to share.
Yes, also for the March 30th meeting, the West Central Mountains Economic Development Council requested time on your calendar to present an update on the work that they're doing and also an update on the work they're doing with regarding expanding early childhood, preschool, and education access. So I told them I would confirm with you this evening that you're good with them being on the 30th, and I told them they would have a maximum of 20 minutes for their presentation. So I know that we have a good relationship with that council. So I thought it would be okay to put that on that meeting.
That was March 30th. I'm sorry, Bessie, Joe, what you said?
Yes, on the March 30th meeting. And it'll be a 20-minute presentation.
And then we'll probably cap it there because of the two big public hearings. That's going to be a long night, I assume.
Yeah, we'll cap it there because we'll also have the audit report that evening.
Yeah, is the, I mean, the 45-minute and a 60-minute public hearing seems ample for those issues. I'm not sure I understand what the middle school expansion CUP is going to involve. If we can really, is that going to be 60 minutes? Seems like we should be able to handle just about.
Yeah, you typically average about an hour for the development application public hearings because of the process involved and the amount
Yeah.
of information and questions and.
I just think that it seems to me that those are two of the longer ones that might come up.
They could be longer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So if
if,
we can
if you would
target-
like, I could push it to the first meeting in April, which would be the April 13th meeting if you prefer.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I only say that because that's something we're probably pretty passionate about too, if we could give it more than 20 minutes. And I think the city has a lot of influence and impact in that area. Just a
Okay,
thought.
okay, how much more time would you like for us to give it?
Maybe 20 minutes will do it, but I just hate to see it get shorted on that night when there's so many other issues. I mean, maybe 20 is enough, 20 or 30.
Yeah, I think just moving that to the April 13th meeting would probably give it some more space. Should we go over 20 minutes, but I like the idea of keeping a 20-minute
Okay, I'll go with that.
soft cap on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we also get the documents up front so we can review and people can also see them. So it's kind of like the overview can be more impactful to help get, right, than on some of these, like just to get the good overview versus having somebody go verbatim through something we've already read.
Yeah.
It's true.
Okay, I will let them know.
But then Lyle, to your point, we have a little bit more room if there's some robust discussion.
Yeah.
Bessie Jo, would you please remind the council about the date and time of the volunteer appreciation event? Delta mentioned it a moment ago. And we don't have it officially on the upcoming meeting schedule because it's not a meeting, but I think it would be great if you had it on your calendars and you were able to come by and thank people.
Yeah, so that right now is scheduled for April 12th at 5 o'clock at the golf course. And we're gonna have, just light hors d'oeuvres and we'll have a projection of all the committees and their members and just what they've accomplished and just really an event just to appreciate them and let them know that that the city appreciates the time that they put in. And we are including all of our volunteers, including the volunteers that volunteer at the library, as well as volunteers for Parks and Recreation. So we're not limiting it just to our committees. So it's all of our city volunteers. So we're hoping it'll be a really great event, and we would sure like it if you all could come, and if the mayor could come and say a few words, that would be very nice.
So is that the week we travel?
Oh, yeah, we're gonna be gone.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, the
that's
mayor
when-
will be gone.
Yeah,
Well, Lynette and I will both be traveling to the,
we'll be on that Driggs Victor Resort City Coalition.
Coalition tour.
Is that
Oh,
week?
okay.
So,
Okay.
I mean, I'll make it a point to be there.
if
you want me
the
to-
rest of
or somebody else
council
wants to fill in.
and Colby could be there as city council president to make some comments, that would be
I
great.
bet we could tape a video of you.
Sure.
However you want to do it, Bob.
Whatever you would
Well,
like.
We got your back.
We got time to sort that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, we sure do.
It's a cool event.
It is.
I'm excited to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, we haven't been able to do it the last couple of years due to COVID, so it's exciting. We want it to be a really nice event. My team's been working really hard on organize that, especially Lori. She's in charge of the committees, and so she's putting a lot of effort into making it a great event for everybody.
I have one more thing. Kind of in response to the public comment that we got regarding that Granite Goose project.
Oh, right.
I mean, in my opinion, I don't think we need to, it's not urgent to do a comment letter at this point. It's an EA, and it's the scoping phase. like we're submitting comments and trying to get members of our ski community to submit comments. But I think it is, it could be in the next phase of that process might be valuable to consider a public comment.
Yeah.
When it's defined of what they are, what their proposed action is.
If you'd like,
But
I
that's-
could reach out to Brian Harris and see if they would come make a
and that was
presentation.
my follow-up.
Yeah.
I saw Brian yesterday and he asked about coming to make a presentation.
Yeah.
about just on the high level, including the Granite Goose project, but also more state and region-wide stuff too.
I think you're right though, Colby, because I mean, now it's just identifying issues that they should be looking at. So it's not really, I don't think it's really appropriate for us to either support or not support the project.
Right.
Because we don't, know the full extent of it. So
They're looking for specific suggestions.
kind of
right
like,
now.
oh, hey, I know there's, this owl out here, so you got to be careful and, that issue. Or
It's and it is, so when it comes time to make comments from the city standpoint, this one is, it is right here. It's-
Yeah, it's right up against the lake. I mean, just on our border. Yeah.
I believe,
And it's good. And all the information is on the website that you can review. I've reviewed it. So it is easy to go through at this point in time too.
okay, I can reach
On the
out.
Forest Service website, it's
Just search.
if you look up for the Granite Goose Restoration Project on the Payette National Forest site. And then you can go through.
Or just even Google it. It'll come up. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can do that.
There were two other comments that asked for letters. I feel like we started it with supplemental GIS. Now everyone's going to want letters about everything. But we had one written comment for Horse Heaven Exploration Project from Randy Fox, and then the David Gallipoli's comment about the library bill. So I don't know how people feel about either of those.
If you want me to schedule a time on here for me to bring back letters, just let me know and I'll put it on there and.
We probably need to look at something as far as determining what kind of policy we're going to have
Right.
regarding doing support letters.
I think Annette and I are managing that pretty well on the legislation. That's
Yeah.
we know which bills are dead on arrival. We have a pretty good insight on that. So unless you think we're not on top of that, let us know. But I don't think we should be writing a letter right now.
But the other one, which is mining
The
project.
other one, the mining
Brought up.
project, we gotta find out more about what's going on.
That's
Maybe Brian Harris could help us.
Yeah, it's an exploration project, so it's a categorical exclusion. So it's also in scoping, but they don't have comment period after it. So you have just your scoping comments and then they make the decision. I mean, obviously, since it's a categorical exclusion, it's obviously a much smaller scope than the Stibnite project, but I don't know, it might be worth looking into just how it might impact recreational access. I think that would be the biggest issue. Because that impacts, just coming to visit. I mean, I think that would be the biggest thing that would probably be our issue as far as a city, because, we've stayed away from the environmental issues out there on Stibnite in terms of water use and fish and this and that and everything. And we could stay away from that.
I'm not.
April,
believe it was
April 3rd.
3rd or 4th. So I mean, the time it would go on would have to be either that really long March 30th meeting. I don't know. I could try to see if I can find something out in time to do the packet for the 9th, if we have room on there.
Just like you said, an exploration, it's a CE that they can.
Yeah,
use
they're just
for
gonna be
doing
drilling.
An exploration. It's not development of a big mine with a lot of traffic and stuff.
No, and I guess that would just be the issue is, I don't know, the packet's pretty small and I haven't really looked through it, but whether transportation would be impacted. I mean, I imagine probably not. I mean, they would probably be coming from the south up Warm Lake and Johnson Creek and stuff like that. So probably it's not gonna.
Make it like a 5-minute item on
On
the
the
9th,
30th.
just an up or down whether or not we want to write a letter.
Sure. Yeah,
That's a good idea.
yeah, happy to do that.
Maybe it could be a condensed version of our other ones and just say, we're concerned about effects on this, even though it's just exploration. Okay. That's a good suggestion that you had, and I hope it'll make a difference. We're gonna find out, I guess, at some point on STIB night.
Yeah, maybe Mike or Julie knows. Are there some natural resource opportunities in that Granite to Goose property? Because I think there are some mining explorations activity inside that zone.
There was some small little granite, or I guess maybe it wasn't granite. It was, I think it was maybe mining, which would mean valuable minerals, which is not granite, but there was some small project there. I mean, yeah, I don't know.
Some of the key things are like dealing with Brundage permit area, their snowcap permit area, some, wildfire mitigation, timber sales, road decommissioning, and
Recreational complex and trying to mitigate for some of the motorized, non-motorized, which is kind of.
Which is pretty.
Working down the.
Yeah.
Kind of just thinking about starting at the top of the hill, working down towards Bear Basin.
Yeah.
It's pretty broad and not overly drastic on anything. There's like making improvements on stuff. There's plenty for us as my day job to comment about on it. And I think once it gets to the next phase of comment, that there'd probably be some appropriate level.
It's a good packet to look at for anybody watching that wants to take a look. It's valuable and it's like 50 pages worth. So it's not like you're looking at the STIB night. To just get the overview of where they're at right now.
Great.
All right.
I'll do
Ready
that.
To adjourn?
Yeah.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Aye.
Everyone in favor of adjournment, please say aye like Colby.
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Bessie Joe, I think, what was your time you had for us tonight? 7:30?
Oh.
Was it pretty close?
I think you,
7:32.
yeah, 2 minutes. That
Great.
last something took us. Okay, anyhow, good job.
You really know us.
Nice to see everybody.
Good to see you.
Great to see you too.
Good night.
All right, is that right if I click off?
Yeah, yeah.